Hello, hello, hello. This is Capital City Carolers with none other than your host, Shayna Parker and President. I'm so happy to be here again for another episode of the Christmas Carolers Conversation, where we talk about those pertinent issues and happenings around the holiday season. And it is our goal and hope that we help inspire you to think, inspire you to consider your connections, particularly with your family and draw nigh unto a place of reconciliation where you can get along. And so we've been piling through many, many subjects. We are so drawing near to our peak in this season where we're going to be out caroling in the Tallahassee area. But today we are going to talk about, in episode 9 of this great series about family forgiveness, Christmas cookies. And I know that sounds kind of odd and a bit out of sync with the topic of family forgiveness, but it has everything to do with forgiveness. And so I want to start by sharing a story that I remember as a little girl wanting to leave Santa some cookies. I remember badgering my grandmother to leave some cookies. And I grew up, we didn't really have a lot. And so I didn't bake my cookies. I took out those sandwich vanilla cookies, if anyone can relate to that. They had in the pack the vanilla, and then they had the chocolate and vanilla. But I took those out and I left those. And I remember in eager expectation, waiting in hopes that I would be able to get some presents and that the things that I had done prior in the year would be mysteriously forgotten about so that it would not hold up my gifts. I also, when I think about, cookies, and I'm going somewhere with this, I think about the internet we use today. There are some sites that before you can truly freely explore them, you will be prompted to accept the cookies. And those cookies, they are used to help the internet browser that you're using to collect information so that it would make it easy to navigate on the site again, so that it doesn't have to download so much, as it did previously, again, so that you can be able to utilize it. Usually that's how it definitely works with Google, which is the browser that I by chance use. But I say all of that to say when we talk about cookies, the commonality in both of those is that they are trying to collect the pieces of information that makes it easier for forward movement. As a kid, I wanted Santa to be able to get those cookies and keep in mind the goodness of the act of giving those cookies so that I could get the presents that I wanted. I mean, you guys, I really, I remember bicycles was a thing. Bicycles, and then it moved to a video game. I remember when the PlayStation first came out, and we're on God knows what series of a PlayStation now, but I can remember as a kid trying to, usher out my best behavior because I wanted to be able to have retained the good so that I could get the good, and be able to navigate on Christmas morning, well with my other, friends in the community, riding the bicycles and showcasing all of the great gifts. What does that have to do with family forgiveness? I think family forgiveness works the same way. I think oftentimes when we approach the issue of forgiveness, most cases we want to start off with having deep conversations about, what was done wrong, and we want vengeance in a lot of cases. But I want to come and share this message to add a twist to this topic, talking about family forgiveness, that as you're planning to navigate through this holiday season, that you take time to give someone Christmas cookies. Well, what do I mean by Christmas cookies? Sometimes it can be a warm greeting that you give someone that really says, I'm willing to give forgiveness before I even know that, watch this, you are deserving of it. And I want you to really meditate on that. I'm willing to give forgiveness before I've determined that you are really deserving of it. Now, with that, I am not talking about giving permissions to personal spaces yet, but I'm just dealing with the temperament and how we give ourselves off as people. I think forgiveness can be possible if we consider consider how we showcase ourselves. Do we showcase ourselves as friendly? And so I want to just drop some gems in the airways and let me know, please, what you think of this topic. We're talking about Christmas cookies, because I think that's a relative thing. I think when we talk about family wounds and, scars that are existing there and prohibiting the family, and, what we've been talking about here is the natural family. But when we talk about this topic, I think a lot of the barrier with getting going in the area of forgiveness is we simply need to learn how to give cookies. And those cookies can be smiles, those cookies can be a kind word, those cookies can be, an I love you. Those cookies can be, hey, just reaching out to let you know I appreciate you. I'm grateful for all that you've done, in my life. I remember when, you showed up, when I didn't have anyone. And I know some people out there are thinking, well, I don't really want to say that because we don't really talk, in that vein. And I definitely don't want someone hanging something over my head. And I'm just here to encourage you with Capital City Carolers to say it's not worth it. Let it go so that you can abide in peace and so that there can be, hope for your family unit as well coming together. You'd be surprised the restoration desire that exists in all mankind, regardless of whether we say it or not, because as we grow as people, we live as though we are not like children are when they're younger, and you fall out with a friend, you just want to make it right, you want to share toys again. Well, Capital City Carolers is here to say, let's go back to the basis. If you have wounds that you really want to see reconciled, if you have family relationships that you really want to see reconciled, I think a big part of giving Christmas cookies starts with humility. It starts with humility, and it starts with humility towards what the recipient, that you are thinking of right now, that you want to experience a family forgiveness with. I think it starts with a humility to offer a cookie that would be receptive to your audience or to whom you would like to experience that forgiveness with. That can be, a deep act of humility, depending on who you're dealing with, because sometimes you may hear, that kickback in response to your pure hearted gesture, I told you so, or I was right. And really, forgiveness again is not about proving points of rightness. It's about seeing how we can maybe come together. And so I want you to consider that. Are there small odds, dwelling in your family today that simply Christmas cookies could make a difference in? For some of you out there, merely making cookies for some family members and offering them to them could be a peace offering that can really help start the journey of reconciliation. Of course, conversations have to be had, and we're not excusing that. That is a deep and a serious component of forgiveness. But I think before we can even get to meaty conversations, we need to examine as people, can we give some Christmas cookies? And so, we're talking about that. They all start with humility. But I do want us to examine that. What kind act can you do? So here's a challenge for you. I call it the Christmas cookies challenge. I want you to write down 10 genuine acts that you can do per person that you desire reconciliation with. So that's 10 genuine acts that you could do to show a peace offering, to initiate the process of forgiveness, in hopes that you could have a more meaty conversation that could help bring the family unit together. And then once you do that, if you have multiple family members that you are in an estranged relationship with over minute, technicalities, write the list down for multiple people, and start there. Start there. So this is Capital City Carolers again with your host and president, Shayna Parker, and we are just thrilled to be here on the air with you. You are now listening into the Christmas Carolers conversation, and we are here to say Merry Christmas. We are approaching that particular day very fast. I want to also let you know, make sure that you are still on the lookout to our website. That is www.capitalcitycarolers.com. We do have caroling registration available for those in the Tallahassee area that would like to participate. It is a family-friendly endeavor and event, a time where you can enjoy yourself in singing Christmas melodies. And so this again, lastly, is Shayna Parker, and I say, keep the caroler spirit.